Alright, so welcome back. In our previous programs, we wrote these values inside the program. So the value for ETH0 and this value, which is the new MAC. So these two could be variables in our case. So let's say you have an other interface which is not named ETH0 and you want to change the MAC address for this interface. Then what do you do? So we want to make this program in a way that it is reliable and it can work with any interface and it can set any value that we want. So we will use flags to build a command line application, and now this command line application will help us to change these values or set these values. So the first thing we will require is the flag module. So we will create a new variable called interface, and then we will use the flag module. So we can say flag dot string, and now what I want to do is I want to provide these ETH0 and the new MAC as a command line argument. So you can see that if you check the documentation, and you can see that it has three values: name, which is string, value, which is string, and then usage, how do you want to use it. It's also a string and it returns a string pointer. So let's define first what is our name. So we want to name our interface as iFace. So this will be the value of variable we will provide in the command line. And then the value, so let's say we set the default value to ETH0, so that if we don't provide any interface, it will take ETH0 as a default value for interface. And then we will provide the usage or the help message. So we can say that this would be the interface for which you want change the MAC. So now we have one variable called interface. So now we will want to create another for this MAC address. So I'm just going to copy and paste this new line, and here now let's call this as the new MAC. So the variable name would be the new MAC, and its value, let's say we don't provide any default value for this one, and then its usage would be the provide the new MAC address. And then since this function returns a pointer, so actually before going forward, let's change this interface into new MAC. And the last thing we will do is we will parse these flags. So we can say flags.parse, and it will automatically parse these values and store these values in these two variables. Now we have to use these variables here. So instead of ETH0, we can say that pointer to interface, because remember this returns a pointer. So we want to use its value, so we use a dereference operator, which is star. And similarly we will call the interface here and interface here, and also we will change this value to new MAC. So now if we want to run this program, we can simply say go run p2 change MAC, and let's see what happens if we don't provide any interface. You can see that since we did not provide the new MAC address, it says that cannot assign requested address, because we did not provide any interface value here. Okay, so let's just for testing purposes, let's remove the default value as well for this interface, and let's see what happens. And you can see that it prints out an error called error while getting interface flags, so no such device. Now you can see that it does not it knows that we did not provide any interface. So let's just run this again, and now we will provide the values. So the first variable is called interface, so we can say iFace equals to, and then we will write ETH0. So this dash interface means that we are providing the value for this variable, which is this one. And then similarly we can write new MAC equals to 0011223344, and now instead of 55, let's say we want 66. Okay, so let's press enter, and now you can see that the command ran successfully. So now if I go to the terminal and write sudo ifconfig and provide the password, now you can see that the value of ether is 0011223344, and then at the end it is 66, which means that this command ran perfectly. So in this way you can provide the command line arguments. So one further thing we can do is note that this is currently a Go file. So if I list it, you can see we have two Go files, p1 running command and then p2 change. So we are interested in this one. So what I will do here is that I will try to build an executable. So we will build an executable for Linux machine, and this executable will contain everything bundled together. So even let's say if there is no compiler on your Kali machine for Go, you will still be able to run this executable because it will have all the dependencies included. So in order to create an executable, we can simply call go build, and then we will provide the file name. So let's check it and let's list this again, and now you can see we have a new file called p2 change mac, and now this is an executable. So let's clear it, and if I list -l, you can see that this last tag is x, which means that it is an executable. So in order to run this executable, we can write ./p2, and you can see that if you press tab, it automatically selects this one. And note that there is no .go extension at the end. And we have to provide the same commands here. So let's just copy it from here and paste it here. So now instead of 66, I will write 88. And you can see that it ran successfully. Now if I run this command here again, you can see that our updated MAC address is 0011223344 and then 88. So this means that our executable is running successfully. And now even if we ship this executable to some other machine which does not have Go installed, this will still work because it contains all the binaries included inside it. Okay, so this is how you can create an executable and also parse the command line flags. So I'm going to stop here. In next lecture we'll proceed further.